Okay, up there I think is the balcony restaurant of the Royal Hotel that I'm staying at. It is a very nice hotel by my standards. Here is the Peapahd marketplace. And if I keep panning along and across the road down to the river, I see that boat and a little place down there. That may be the ferry. So I'll walk down here and see if I can find a way down. And that should be Wat Bovil off in the distance there that I'm trying to get. This man is just taking his horse for a bathe in the river and some drinking. Now they'll probably return to some kind of pasturing. Okay, this little platform area may be part of the same thing. Might be true for the next section that they perhaps are building down there. Maybe that's what they are building there. Now this area may be maintained by ANZ. I assume that's New Zealand Royal Bank. Already you can see that this part of the wall is now giving way to having been undermined by the river. So if they build this next part with the same technology they built this part, it also will disintegrate. It's the same analogy by which politicians give in to their civic workers like policemen, teachers, firemen, union, extortion, labor agreements. They figure as long as I can get past this point in time, it's somebody else's problem down the future. And that's exactly how I'm sure all these economies. This is the first accident that I've encountered, but apparently that red scooter ran into this guy's rig here. So now they're trying to figure it out. Here's one place where water, pure water comes from. Looks like the ferry does work, so might try it on the way back out. You lower these vats down into here. I don't know if that's pure water or not. Oh, not now. Although maybe that's a cleaning solution. And then you can see there, it's filling up. And that may be pure water, I don't know. And there's some kind of circulation going on here. And over there in those tanks are probably refrigerant. So he's pulling these out. Let's see where they go. Now he's going to slide this over and drop it down into this inclined plane for some reason. Okay, so it's already filled with ice. So putting it down in that, putting it down in those tanks just loosens up the ice from the container that it's in. Now notice that it has a hole all the way down the center of it. And now we're going to slide it over here where the ice cutting guy is. Slide this big piece over, then he's going to mark it off with his saw the same way I would mark off a piece of a log with my chainsaw. But notice now he's going to make this one a little smaller than the other one, because probably this girl wants to have it cut in pieces. Slide them into that wagon, they'll cover it with burlap, and then it'll be ready to ship to places like the girls that we saw earlier today. Notice that hole, which will allow those girls to cut this piece in first 2 long pieces, and then cut those 2 pieces into 2 smaller, equally long pieces that'll fit inside of the standard cooler. Way over here there's water running, and I don't know what that is unless they're just recirculating the coolant. I don't know. Notice how he overlaps them. Probably going to use this to hold them down. Yep. And the smaller one to hold them down the rest of the way. Probably takes his tools with him in case the people he sells to want smaller pieces. Who does the work also does the delivery. That's called cross-training to the max. Thermo King, which at one time was owned by Thermos Company or vice versa. These are small bits of ice like we see in coolers. Yeah. Terribly sure what these machines are for. They may be what cools the fluid. So in those bags they have the small ice cubes. Well, they're literally this big. They're round and about that long and have a hole in it about the size of my finger. There, see, there you got it. So those are ice cube type. So we're now about to enter Wat Bovil, B-O-V-I-L. This looks like a very old, and even when it was new, understated as to decoration. If in fact these were its original colors. You wonder why it's left to go completely to this state. Here a Wat that looks, a tower that looks like it's pretty much new. Not painted, but new cement. Okay, and this building seems to be duplicated with the building behind it, although there are some differences. Mainly the lack of detail on the main walls, and the roof is only 1 level. There's some cement work going on. There has been cement work there, and there's stone for cement work here. So it may be that they're in the process of slowly restoring this. And all along here there's a sprinkler system and a pretty grassed areas, median of flowers, same with that area there. All of those, what I would call light posts, look like they're intact, which is interesting. But now I'll look more closely at these windows. I think the mix of colors, that green, lime green, and the yellow, is a very pretty subtle mix, particularly with the black background on the doors. Large, impressive naga-like things at the top. Now I want to look at the detail of them. Then let's look at these figures again at the top of the columns that support the roof above them. In that color, they almost look like they had the armor of the era of knights of Europe. This is the end of tape 16. 17. Notice a little design element of the tail kind of wafting off to this up and to the side at the end. Here's a simple but pretty little sub-temple. Notice the temples around the side, which reflect, I believe, the lesser peaks around Mount Meru. These do hold lights. They painted them green on the inside, perhaps to shed or cast a green light over this area. Now notice how nice the flower beds are. So you see there is hope. And these buildings in various states of repair may well be residences for the monks. And seen from the back seems to be identical. That door looks ajar. One on the front was, so I'm going to go up and see if I can sneak in. You can see how crudely it's painted, but from a distance it doesn't give that effect, kind of like impressionist painting. The door is locked, so I can't get in, but don't know if the camera can see anything in there. I noticed the red and background and gold detail on the columns, which must look pretty. The walls have no murals at all. Okay, now I'm going to walk up where I came from, cross to the left over that bridge that you see in a red line, go over one block and up to that statue I want to see. There's a bus station, bus company up there. I want to see what kind of buses they have. Going to Siem Reap. Then I'll come down, hit this Wat right here and be back. Go through the market and then back to my room for a shower. This is an interesting plant. It looks like it may have little purple flowers at the end. In Bangkok, I saw a flower similar to this with those pods. And those are little pods. They open up like an envelope or like an oyster shell, and then beautiful flowers came out of them. Maybe that is yet to occur, but it doesn't look like it. There's a statue in the center of a roundabout, but I don't know what the statue commemorates, but you can see by the supplicating posture and the fact that these characters are holding something in their hand that they're making an offering, which is typical in Buddhism. Why there are three of them and what icon this is, I don't know. Okay, I'm here at Wat Peapahd, and that's just south of that bridge I crossed over, which is up to the right of it, upper right. And that little statue I just looked at with the three supplicants. And if I continue down, I should run straight into Sa Nath as soon as I'm finished here. Looks like a battle scene. This is an interesting motif, a man playing something like a mandolin. This looks like our old guy again. Not as subtle as the other green temple that we looked at, but after they get it done, it'll probably be pretty dramatic if they repaint the walls blue. And I think it's interesting it has these panels above each window. Makes it a little bit more special in that sense. And I know we've seen this flying person, notice the naga across their back, holding baskets on either side like the old folks in Bangkok carry their wares about on the street. Here are the side temples, somewhat restored. No color other than those two. I wonder if these guys, the ones painted in silver, are old ones, and these are the new color scheme. Again, this man or woman playing with their hair. Now, it's interesting, as I pan down there, notice the center piece between the doors. Doesn't that remind you of the false doors we saw in some of the ancient temples? And here are the tiles. I can't tell which is the outside and which is the inside, although I'm guessing that that's the outside, but I can't tell for sure. And here are the offering bells that we saw a lot in Thailand. And she's scraping down those detail elements before they get painted. Notice this four-faced character at the top of this entrance tower. Then a bull, and something riding the bull, in fact grabbing onto its nostril to turn it or control it, or knock it or keep it to the ground. And it's one of those filthy McNasties with the clawed feet. A long chat with a monk, who I think is a monk in training, if we are one of the young ones. Spoke excellent English, with an accent of course, but excellent English, and gave me a complete rundown on all the places I should see here in Siem Reap and the rest of Cambodia, and a little bit of Vietnam. Very knowledgeable young man. Remember, he may well come from a very good family and be here for a few short weeks or months, and then on to the rest of his life. Or he may continue on as a monk. Well, I could get my toenails painted here if I wanted to, but I'll probably pass on it.